Hey guys, tonight we're stepping quietly into the stone-cold halls of a medieval convent. The air is cool and thick with the faint aroma of herbs, baked bread, and something else, something warm, rich and slightly sweet. You follow the scent down a narrow, candle-lit corridor. Your footsteps are soft on the worn, ancient stones beneath you. Shadows dance along the walls as the flickering light of a nearby hearth spills through an arched doorway. And there beyond the door you see them figures in simple robes, their veils neatly in place, moving in a calm, rhythmic dance around a series of bubbling, steaming cauldrons. You watch for a moment, almost hypnotized. The nuns work with a quiet, practiced grace, one stirring a large wooden paddle through a copper vat, another carefully measuring dried herbs, and a third testing the temperature with a gentle touch, her expression calm and focused. But this isn't just some ordinary kitchen scene. No, this is something far more interesting. Because these women aren't cooking soup or preparing stew. They are brewing beer. Yes, beer. Frothy, fragrant golden ale right here in the quiet sacred halls of a medieval convent. And not just any beer. These nuns are famous for their recipes, each one perfected through generations of whispered secrets, careful experiments, and perhaps a touch of divine inspiration. And while you might think of monks as the more famous medieval brewers tonight, you're about to discover the hidden world of nun-brewed ales, their flavors, their mysteries, and the surprising reasons why these pious women became masters of the brew. But before we dive too deeply into the bubbling cauldrons, there's something you should do. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. I love hearing from you, so feel free to post your location and local time in the comments below. I always find it amazing how we're all sharing this little journey together, wherever you are. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Steam rises in soft tendrils, the air grows even warmer, and you notice the nuns quietly talking among themselves, gentle voices mingling like the soft clinking of pewter mugs. It's a comforting, almost magical scene. But as you step a little closer, you realize that this isn't just some hobby or a simple way to pass the time. No, for these women, brewing is serious business. And it's not just because they enjoy a good drink after a long day of prayer and work, though you suspect that might be part of it. The convent's beer is a lifeline. It's nourishment for the sisters, a source of safe, clean drinking liquid in an age when water can be dangerously contaminated. It's a form of charity, a gift to weary travelers who find shelter at the convent's gates. And perhaps, most importantly, it's a sacred art, an act of devotion, where the careful mixing of ingredients and the steady, patient bubbling of the brew becomes a kind of silent prayer. You wander closer, feeling the heat of the cauldrons, listening to the slow, rhythmic bubbling. One of the nuns, her veil slightly dusted with flower, smiles gently at you as she stirs. Her name, you overhear, is Sister Agnes. She seems to be something of a master here, her movements precise, her eyes calm and watchful. A younger sister beside her stirs another pot, her expression one of deep concentration. Not too fast, Sister Claire. Agnes says, her voice warm but firm. A gentle stir, like you're weaving a prayer. You can't help but smile. Brewing beer is a prayer now? That's something you didn't expect. But as you watch, it all starts to make sense. The timing must be perfect, the measurements precise. Too much heat and the brew will scorch. Too little, and it won't develop its full flavor. The ingredients, water, barley, yeast, and those carefully chosen herbs, all must blend in perfect harmony. It's a kind of sacred alchemy, turning humble grain and herbs into something golden, something that brings warmth, health, and even a little joy. You step back for a moment, letting the quiet, soothing sounds wash over you, the soft stir of paddles in thick, steaming liquid, the gentle murmurs of the nuns, the occasional splash of water being added. And you begin to realize that this is more than just a room full of brewing equipment. This is a place of quiet industry, of care, of community. It is a place where the ancient art of brewing meets the sacred silence of devotion. But why nuns? Why did these holy women become such skilled brewers? As you watch, you begin to piece together the answer. In the medieval world, convents weren't just places of prayer. They were centers of knowledge of healing and of hospitality. Travelers sought shelter here, and the nuns offered food rest, and of course a cup of nourishing ale. The beer they brewed wasn't just for themselves, it was for the poor, the sick, and the weary. It was a gift, an act of charity. And beyond that, it was a source of income. Convents often sold their excess beer to nearby villages, using the funds to support their work, maintain their grounds, and care for the sick. Brewing wasn't just a skill, it was a means of survival. Sister Agnes dips a ladle into her bubbling brew, tastes it, and smiles. "A bit more time," I think she murmurs, and Sister Clare nods quickly, fetching a bundle of fresh herbs. You watch the delicate green leaves sprinkled into the brew, their fragrance blooming in the warm air. It's a recipe passed down for generations, whispered from one abbess to the next, a sacred secret held within these stone walls. And as you stand there, wrapped in the gentle warmth, listening to the quiet murmurs of the brewing nuns, you feel something calming settle over you. It's the peace of tradition, the quiet joy of shared work, the comfort of a warm, safe place on a cold, uncertain night. Tonight, you're not just watching history. You're living it, feeling it, tasting it, in the fragrant, bubbling brew that the nuns so carefully tend. The warm, fragrant air of the convent's brewery surrounds you, and you take a slow, calming breath. The sweet, earthy scent of barley mingles with the faint perfume of dried herbs, creating a soothing aroma that seems to wrap around you like a soft, warm blanket. Sister Agnes continues her gentle stirring, her calm voice, guiding Sister Clare, who watches with focused eyes. But as you stand quietly at the edge of this sacred, steamy world, you begin to wonder why beer. Why would these pious, humble women devote so much time and care to brewing? You watch as another nun, older with silver strands, peeking out from beneath her veil, carefully measures a scoop of grain. The answer, it seems, is not as simple as you might think. Beer is not just a casual drink for these nuns. It's a source of life, of health, and of hospitality. In the medieval world, clean drinking water can be a rare treasure. Rivers and wells are often contaminated, carrying hidden dangers, tiny, unseen things that can turn a refreshing sip into a deadly gamble. But beer is different. Through the process of brewing, heating, boiling, and fermenting, the water is purified. Harmful bacteria are destroyed, and what remains is a nourishing, safe liquid. For the nuns, beer is more than just a drink. It's a kind of liquid bread, rich with the goodness of barley, a source of strength and sustenance. And for travelers seeking shelter at the convent, a cup of this warm, frothy brew is a blessing, a small comfort, a taste of safety in an uncertain world. But there's more. As you watch Sister Agnes lean over a simmering cauldron, murmuring a quiet blessing, you realize that this brew is also something sacred. The nuns see it as a gift, a symbol of God's grace, something that must be prepared with care, shared with kindness, and enjoyed with gratitude. For them, each batch is a prayer, an offering of their work, their patience, and their devotion. Sister Clare leans closer to her mentor. "Sister Agnes, why do we always brew in this room? Why not use the larger kitchen?" Sister Agnes smiles her hands, never pausing in their slow, gentle stirring. "This room is sacred, Sister Clare. It has been blessed. It is where the first sisters of our convent brewed their humble ale centuries ago, and their prayers, their faith. It is here, in the walls, in the air." You glance around, noticing the ancient stones, the high arched windows where soft, golden light spills through. The shadows dance and flicker, and you can almost see the ghosts of those first sisters, humble, hard-working women stirring, measuring, whispering their prayers over the bubbling pots. But these nuns aren't just keeping an old tradition alive, they're mastering it. In this quiet, steamy room, they are scientists in veils, carefully experimenting, testing, and perfecting their recipes. One batch might be light and sweet, another dark and rich, another touched with the faint bitterness of special herbs. Each has its own character, its own purpose. Some are brewed to be light and refreshing, perfect for a summer day. Others are thick and warming a comfort against the biting winter chill. You notice Sister Agnes pulling out a small wooden box filled with dried herbs, thyme, sage, lavender, and even a hint of nutmeg. She pinches a few leaves, holding them to her nose, then sprinkles them into the cauldron. The aroma shifts, becoming richer, more complex. These herbs aren't just for flavor, they have healing properties. Thyme for colds, lavender for calm, sage for strength. To the nuns, beer isn't just a drink. It's a medicine, a soothing balm for the body and soul. Sister Claire watches closely, her eyes wide with admiration. "Will this one be for the infirmary?" she asks softly. Sister Agnes nods. "Yes, child. Brother Matthew is still struggling with his cough, and this brew should help. A bit of honey, and it will soothe his throat. A touch of sage, and it will give him strength." You feel a soft warmth in your chest, watching the care, the gentle kindness with which these women brew. In a world often dark and dangerous, they have found a way to offer comfort, not just through prayers, but through the quiet, simple magic of their brewing art. The cauldrons bubble, the steam rises, and the quiet murmurs of the nuns blend with the soft crackle of the hearth. Outside, the wind stirs, rustling through the convent's narrow courtyard. But in here, there is only warmth, calm, and the slow, steady work of the brew. But there's something else you begin to notice. A subtle, quiet joy beneath it all. The nuns may be serious, they may be devout, but they are not without laughter. You hear it now, a soft chuckle from one of the older sisters as she shows a young novice how to properly stir without splashing. Another teases Sister Claire about her serious expression, telling her to smile, or the beer will taste sour. Claire blushes, then smiles, her tension melting away. For these women, brewing isn't just a chore, it's a joy, a craft, a way of coming together, of sharing not just work, but warmth, laughter, and quiet companionship. It is a moment of peace in their daily routine, a small, simple happiness that bubbles up just like the brew they so carefully tend. And as you stand there feeling the warmth of the hearth breathing in the fragrant spiced air, you begin to feel a little of that peace yourself. The world outside fades away, and you are simply here, surrounded by the quiet, steady presence of these nuns, watching their gentle, rhythmic work, listening to their soft laughter, and feeling the slow, calm pulse of time. You wonder what other secrets this sacred, steamy place holds. What other recipes, what other stories, what other whispered prayers lie hidden among the herbs, the bubbling cauldrons, and the ancient stones. But you know that those answers will come in time. For now, you are simply here, warm, calm, and at peace. Warm steam curls through the air, rising like ghostly ribbons as you watch the nuns continue their quiet, rhythmic work. The soft crackle of the hearth blends with the gentle bubbling of the cauldrons, and you notice something curious. The floor beneath your feet is marked with faint lines and circles etched directly into the stone. A subtle design, ancient and precise. It takes you a moment, but you soon realize that these are not just random marks. They are a careful pattern, a sacred geometry. Sister Agnes notices your gaze and smiles softly. "Ah, you see the markings. This, child, is where our time meets eternity." You raise an eyebrow, curious. Sister Agnes gestures gently, her voice calm and warm. "These lines and circles help us measure. Measure our ingredients, measure our time, but also measure our devotion." She leads you a few steps to the side, where the light from the window falls upon a worn, polished circle etched into the floor. This is where the sun's light must touch for our first stirring. Not a moment before, not a moment after. You look up, following the path of light, and see how the golden beam slowly shifts, tracing across the etched lines as the day passes. It is a sundial of sorts, not just for telling the time of day, but for guiding the brewing process itself. The nuns have turned time into a sacred ritual, each stirring, each addition of herbs, each moment of heating, perfectly timed with the slow march of sunlight. You marvel at the thought. In an age without clocks, the nuns have become masters of time, not just with their sundial, but with the quiet, patient way they brew. It is a gentle rhythm, a slow, steady dance that brings order and peace to their world. But the geometry doesn't stop there. Sister Agnes guides you to another section of the room, where a large wooden board is covered in symbols, simple, elegant lines, and curves, each one a guide for measuring ingredients. Circles for barley squares, for herbs, a spiral for honey. It is a language of shapes, a recipe written without words. Sister Claire joins you, a soft smile on her lips. We measure our lives in circles and lines, she says, almost to herself. The circle of prayer, the line of duty, the sacred geometry of our days. But these shapes are not just for show. They are precise, a reflection of a much older wisdom. The nuns have inherited their knowledge of sacred geometry from the ancient world, from scholars who saw the divine in the perfect balance of shapes, in the harmony of lines. For them, brewing is not just a craft, it is a science, a sacred science. Sister Agnes dips a long, narrow stick into the cauldron, then lays it across one of the etched lines on the floor. She watches carefully, nodding with satisfaction. Perfect temperature, she murmurs, and Sister Claire quickly adds a bundle of dried herbs. You wonder how many other secrets are hidden here in the quiet, steamy room, how much of this ancient knowledge has been passed down from sister to sister for centuries. And you begin to realize that what you are witnessing is more than just brewing. It is a living tradition, a delicate thread connecting the past to the present. But even as you marvel at the careful, measured precision of the nuns' work, you can't help but notice something else, something a little more chaotic, a little more human. Sister Claire stirs a little too quickly, and a few drops splash onto the warm stone. She gasps, but Sister Agnes only chuckles, her gentle smile unchanged. Careful, Claire. Too fast, and you'll lose the balance. But don't be afraid to make mistakes. Even the finest brew can be a little messy at first. You can't help but smile. Even in this world of careful lines and sacred measurements, there is room for human error, for learning, for growth. The nuns may work with sacred geometry, but they are not slaves to it. They are human, patient, gentle, and wise. And then you notice something even more curious. In one corner of the room, a small, carefully hidden shelf holds a few tiny bottles, each marked with a simple, delicate symbol. A star, a crescent moon, a flower. Sister Agnes catches your gaze, and her eyes sparkle with a quiet mischief. Not every brew is for charity, she whispers, a gentle smile on her lips. Some are for special occasions. You feel a soft warmth in your chest, a quiet joy at this tiny glimpse of mischief beneath the nuns' calm, devout exterior. Even in this sacred place, even with all their careful measurements and whispered prayers, the nuns have their secrets. Special brews crafted with rare herbs, kept hidden for celebrations, for quiet evenings, for those rare moments when joy must be savored in secret. You wonder what those secret brews taste like, sweet and warm, like spiced honey, dark and rich, like roasted barley, or perhaps something else, something you can't quite imagine. But Sister Agnes gives you a gentle nudge, drawing your attention back to the main cauldrons. Sacred or secret, every brew must begin with balance, she murmurs. Too much bitterness, and it will be harsh. Too much sweetness, and it will be dull. Balance, child. Balance in all things. And you see it now. The nuns' sacred geometry is not just a guide for brewing. It is a guide for life, a balance of work and prayer, of charity and joy, of devotion and quiet delight. They brew with a gentle, sacred precision, but they also laugh, they also whisper secrets, they also share tiny, hidden moments of happiness. You step back, letting the warm, fragrant air surround you, and you feel a sense of calm, a sense of peace. Here in this quiet, steamy room, you have discovered something more than just beer. You have found a little world, a place where faith, science, and quiet joy come together in a perfect, gentle harmony. And as you stand there watching the nuns stir, measure, whisper, and smile, you feel that gentle balance settle over you too. A quiet calm, a warm peace, a soft, steady sense of belonging. The steam rises, the soft murmurs continue, and time itself seems to slow, settling into the gentle rhythm of the nuns' sacred geometry. The warmth of the brewing room is a gentle comfort, but soon you find yourself drawn away, following the quiet whispers of the nuns through a narrow, arched hallway. The air grows cooler, and a soft, golden light flickers along the rough stone walls. You are led into another chamber, dimmer, quieter, and filled with the soft, rhythmic sound of dripping water. A small, polished basin stands at the center of the room, and from a thin, curved spout, a steady trickle of water falls, drop by drop, each one creating a tiny ripple that spreads across the surface. You have stepped into the world of the convent's ancient water clock. Sister Agnes stands beside you, her calm smile unchanged. "Not all time is measured by the sun," she murmurs, her voice soft as the whisper of the water. "Some time flows, drop by drop, gentle and quiet." You watch the slow, hypnotic dance of the ripples, feeling a strange calm settle over you. The nuns call this device a clepsydra, a water clock, an ancient invention that measures time by the slow, steady flow of water. It is simple, yet elegant, a reminder that even in the silence, even in the darkness, time continues its quiet march forward. But this is no ordinary clepsydra. As you look closer, you notice the basin is marked with a delicate pattern of lines, tiny, precise marks that form a subtle spiral. Each mark represents a measure of time, a quiet, patient rhythm that the nuns have learned to read like a story written in water. Sister Claire appears, her soft footsteps barely making a sound. "We use it to mark the hours of our prayers," she explains, "and sometimes for our brewing." You glance back curious. Sister Agnes nods. Certain herbs must steep for a perfect time. Too short and they lack their strength. Too long and they become bitter. It is a quiet dance, a careful balance once again. Even here, in this simple shadowed room, the nuns have found a way to bring their sacred geometry to life. The slow, steady drip of water becomes a gentle heartbeat, a soft reminder of time's passage. But there is something more. Sister Agnes leads you to a small alcove where a much older water clock stands its surface, dark with age, its markings faded, but still visible. She smiles, her voice soft. "This was brought here long ago by the first sisters who founded our convent, a gift from a distant land." You look closer, and you notice the faint, flowing script etched along the base, strange, elegant symbols unlike any you have seen before. It is a reminder that the knowledge of water clocks is ancient, far older than this convent, far older than the nuns who now tend it. It is a gift from a time when scholars in distant lands first learned to measure the quiet, steady passage of time with nothing but water and patience. Sister Claire, watching your fascination, leans closer. "They say the first clepsydras were used by priests in temples, to mark the time for prayers, to measure the sacred hours." Sister Agnes smiles. "Or so they say. Others believe they were first used by kings to measure the hours of the court to remind them of their duties. Historians still argue about it," Sister Claire adds with a soft laugh. "But here it is, only for us, only for our prayers, our work, our peace." And you feel that peace now, standing in the quiet, shadowed room, listening to the slow, steady drip of water. It is a sound that is almost a whisper, a gentle lullaby, a reminder of the quiet patience that fills the lives of these nuns. But there is more to this place than just quiet contemplation. You soon notice a small, narrow doorway half hidden behind a thick curtain. Sister Agnes notices your curious glance and smiles. "Would you like to see?" You step through the curtain and find yourself in a smaller, darker room. Here, the water clock is much simpler, just a plain clay jar with a small, constant leak. But next to it stands a long wooden table covered in small glass vials, tiny jars of powdered herbs, and delicate measuring spoons. "This is our apothecary," Sister Agnes explains, "where we prepare our healing brews." You watch as Sister Claire carefully measures a few drops of a dark amber liquid into one of the vials. She gently swirls it, watching the liquid catch the soft light. The herbs must steep just the right amount of time, she whispers, not a moment more, not a moment less. The water clock helps them measure this time, its steady drip, a quiet, patient guardian of their healing arts. Here the nuns are not just brewers, they are healers, herbalists, gentle caretakers of the sick and weary. Sister Agnes opens a small wooden chest, revealing bundles of dried herbs, chamomile, for sleep, peppermint, for aches, sage for strength. Each one carefully measured, carefully prepared, steeped for just the right amount of time in warm, fragrant brews that bring comfort to the body and peace to the soul. And here, in this quiet, shadowed room, you see the gentle, sacred balance once again. The nuns measure not just time, but healing each drop of water, a moment of care, each herbal brew, a whispered prayer for the sick, the tired, the suffering. You find yourself standing quietly, watching the slow, steady drip of the water clock, feeling that same quiet calm settle over you. In this world of shadows and whispers of healing herbs and patient hands, there is no rush, no hurry, only time measured not by minutes or hours, but by the slow, steady dance of drops falling into the silent pool. Sister Agnes places a gentle hand on your shoulder. Time is a gift, child. A gift to be spent with care, whether in work, in prayer, or in rest. You close your eyes for a moment, letting the sound of the water wash over you, feeling the warmth of the herbs, the gentle calm of this sacred shadowed space. And as you stand there, you begin to understand. The nun's sacred geometry is not just about lines and circles, not just about sunlight and shadow. It is about the quiet, gentle rhythm of life itself, a life spent in patient work, in quiet prayer, in gentle healing care. The drip, drip, drip of the water clock continues a slow, steady heartbeat in the shadowed room, and you feel that calm, steady rhythm sink into your bones, a quiet, comforting peace that seems to touch your very soul. You step back into the main hall where the warm, fragrant air of the brewing chamber meets you like a comforting embrace. But this time, as you watch the nuns at work, you notice something curious. An odd pattern in the way they measure their ingredients, a strange but consistent preference for the number 60. 60 minutes, 60 seconds. 60 drops of a special herbal extract. It's everywhere, woven quietly into their recipes, their prayers, their daily routines. You can't help but wonder why 60. Sister Agnes, always watching with that gentle, knowing smile, seems to read your thoughts. You wonder about the number 60, don't you? She asks, her voice a soft murmur beneath the bubbling cauldrons. You nod, curiosity sparkling in your eyes. It is a gift she whispers from the ancients, an old wisdom passed down from the scholars of Babylon. Babylon. The name alone stirs a sense of distant wonder, a world of grand ziggurats and starlit temples. Sister Agnes explains with a quiet, almost reverent tone. The Babylonians were masters of numbers. They saw 60 as a perfect sacred number, a number that could be divided easily into halves, thirds, fourths, sixths, twelfths. It was the foundation of their mathematics, their astronomy, and their timekeeping. You think of the circle of the sun divided into 360 degrees, a multiple of 60. The hours of the day split into 60 minutes, each minute into 60 seconds. Even here in this quiet convent, that ancient wisdom has found a home. But the nuns are not mere mathematicians. For them, 60 is more than just a convenient number. It is a sacred rhythm, a quiet, steady pulse that guides their work. Sister Claire approaches carefully, measuring 60 drops of honey into a steaming brew. Too much, and it overwhelms. Too little, and it is lost. 60 is balance. Balance. The word echoes in your mind, a quiet truth hidden in plain sight. You watch as the nuns continue their careful work, each movement a reflection of that ancient, silent wisdom. 60 is not just a number, it is a guide, a gentle reminder of the delicate dance between sweetness and bitterness, warmth and coolness, work and rest. But even this sacred number has its secrets. Sister Agnes smiles, her voice low and calm. There are some who say that the number 60 has a magic of its own, that it is a key to the harmony of the heavens, a whisper of the divine order. You can almost see it now, the ancient scholars of Babylon, standing beneath a starlit sky, tracing the slow, silent dance of the stars, measuring their paths, dividing the heavens into perfect harmonious circles. For them, 60 was not just a number, it was a window into the very nature of the universe. And here, in this quiet, fragrant room, that ancient wisdom lives on. Each brew is a tiny echo of that cosmic harmony, each carefully measured drop, a whisper of those distant stars. Sister Claire giggles softly, as she carefully stirs a cauldron, the warm golden brew, swirling in slow, lazy spirals. Of course, not every recipe is so strict. She teases a playful sparkle in her eyes. Some are a little more creative. You watch as she adds a tiny pinch of something dark and fragrant, something that is clearly not part of the standard recipe. Sister Agnes raises an eyebrow, a soft smile touching her lips. A little extra cinnamon, Claire. It's for Sister Margaret's cold, Claire explains, her voice innocent, but her smile giving away her tiny act of rebellion. You can't help but laugh softly. Even here, where sacred numbers and ancient wisdom guide the nun's work, there is room for a little mischief, a little joy. But the mystery of 60 continues to pull at your thoughts. You ask Sister Agnes if the number has always been sacred, if it has always been part of their brewing. She pauses, thoughtful. Not always, she admits. Long ago, when our order was first founded, the recipes were simple. Water, barley, a few herbs. But as our knowledge grew, so did our recipes. And we learned from those who came before us, from the scholars of the East, from the healers of the mountains, from the travelers who brought tales of distant lands. 60 is not just a number. It is a thread, a quiet, ancient connection that ties these nuns to a vast, distant world of knowledge and wonder. And you can feel that thread now weaving quietly around you, a soft, comforting presence. You glance around the room, watching the gentle, rhythmic work of the nuns. 60 stirs, 60 grains of barley, 60 murmured prayers. It is everywhere hidden in the quiet harmony of their daily life. Sister Agnes leads you to a small, dark cabinet, pulling open the door with a soft creak. Inside, you see an old, weathered book, its pages filled with careful, delicate script. Tiny symbols and numbers traced in faded ink. This is our book of measures, she whispers. Each recipe, each brew written with care. A record of our craft and a quiet memory of all we have learned. You lean closer, your eyes tracing the neat lines of text. Each recipe is a tiny poem of balance. 60 grains of this, 60 drops of that, steeped for 60 heartbeats. A quiet, sacred dance of numbers, a whispered hymn to the wisdom of the ancients. But even here, among the careful recipes, you notice tiny notes scribbled in the margins, tiny sketches of stars and moons, playful hearts, a smiling face. A quiet reminder that these are not just recipes, they are memories, moments of joy and laughter, shared by the sisters. Sister Agnes watches you, her smile gentle. 60 is a gift, but it is not a cage. We measure, we count. But we also live. We also love. That is the true wisdom. Her words are a quiet, calming breeze, a soft reminder that even in this world of sacred numbers and careful measures, there is always room for joy, for kindness, for a little gentle chaos. The warm, fragrant air of the brewing room wraps around you a soft, comforting embrace, and you feel that ancient wisdom settle over you, not as a heavy, solemn truth, but as a gentle, quiet peace. Here, in this quiet world of whispers and warmth, you have found a place where ancient numbers dance with gentle laughter, where sacred geometry is painted with a human smile. Warm sunlight pours through the narrow stained glass windows of the convent, casting soft, colorful light across the stone floor. You follow the gentle drifting scent of herbs and warm bread back to the bustling brewing chamber. But this time, your attention is drawn to the far side of the room, where a group of nuns gathers around something large, ancient, and quietly mesmerizing, a grand, ornate water clock. The clepsydra stands tall, its polished bronze gleaming in the soft light. It is a masterpiece of quiet, graceful design, a tall, slender vessel with a slow, steady stream of water trickling from a small spout near the top. Beneath it, a series of delicate glass vials catch the water, each filling drop by drop. Sister Claire's voice is soft, almost a whisper. This is our oldest clock, a gift from a distant monastery brought here long ago. The water clock is not just a tool, it is a treasure, a quiet, ancient guardian of time. Its gentle, rhythmic flow is almost hypnotic, a soft, steady lullaby that seems to quiet the air around it. But as you watch, you begin to notice something strange. The water does not simply flow, it moves with a quiet, measured grace, filling each vial in perfect rhythmic pulses. It is almost as if the clock is breathing. Its quiet flow, a gentle, living rhythm. Sister Agnes smiles, noticing your wonder. The flow is controlled by a hidden mechanism, a tiny valve carefully adjusted. It is a delicate balance. Balance. There is that word again. It seems to follow you through this quiet world of nuns and brews, a gentle whispered reminder of the sacred dance between order and chaos, calm and motion. But the water clock is more than just a quiet timekeeper. As you look closer, you notice that each vial is marked with tiny, careful lines that measure the passing minutes, the quiet, steady march of time. Sister Claire reaches out, gently adjusting one of the vials, watching as the water rises slowly to meet the next mark. This is how we time our brews, she explains. The herbs must steep for just the right amount of time. No more, no less. But there is something else. You notice a second set of marks, tiny, elegant symbols, traced along the edge of each vial. Sister Claire's smile widens. Those are our secret recipes. Each symbol is a reminder, a measure of herbs, a drop of honey, a moment of warmth. You watch as she carefully adds a few dried chamomile flowers to a steaming pot, her movements gentle and precise. Each pinch, each stir is guided by those quiet ancient symbols, each one a tiny whisper of the nuns' secret knowledge. But the water clock is more than just a guide. It is a quiet, patient teacher. As the water rises, as each vial fills, you begin to see the quiet lesson it offers. Time is not something to be rushed. It is a gentle, patient flow, a quiet, steady dance that must be watched, measured, and respected. Sister Agnes stands beside you, her voice calm and soft. We learn patience here, she murmurs. The herbs teach us. The water teaches us. Even the silence teaches us. Patience. It is a strange, quiet strength, a gentle wisdom that seems to fill the air around you. You watch as the nuns continue their careful work, their soft laughter and quiet whispers blending with the gentle, steady drip of the water clock. But even here in this world of patience and quiet care, there are moments of excitement. Sister Claire suddenly gasps, a soft, delighted smile spreading across her face. It's ready. You turn curious as she lifts a small copper pot from the fire. Steam rises in soft, fragrant clouds, and a warm, golden liquid swirls inside. It is a fresh batch of herbal ale, one of the nuns' most cherished recipes. Sister Claire carefully pours a little into a small clay cup, offering it to you. You take a slow sip, feeling the warm, soothing flavors wash over your tongue, a gentle blend of honey chamomile and a hint of cinnamon. It is sweet, but not too sweet, warm, but not too strong. It is our winter brew, she explains, her smile gentle. For cold nights, for quiet moments, a gift of warmth. Sister Agnes laughs softly, or for a little courage when the wind howls outside. But this is not just a simple drink. It is a quiet, careful creation, each ingredient measured with care, each flavor balanced with gentle patience. You can almost taste the ancient wisdom hidden in its warmth, a tiny echo of those distant scholars, those ancient brewers who first learned the secrets of herbs and honey, of warmth and patience. Sister Claire carefully lifts one of the glass vials from the water clock, examining the tiny marks with a quiet, thoughtful gaze. One drop more, one drop less. And the flavor changes. The warmth changes. It is a gentle reminder that even the smallest moments can make a difference, that even in this quiet, patient world, there is always a delicate dance, a quiet, careful balance. But as you stand there watching the slow, steady drip of the water clock, you begin to notice something else, a quiet, whispered conversation, half hidden beneath the soft laughter of the nuns. Sister Margaret, the oldest of the nuns, stands quietly beside the water clock, her voice low and calm. We must remember, the balance is sacred. Too much haste, and we lose the gift. Too much delay, and we waste it. Her words are a quiet, gentle warning, a reminder that even patience must be tempered with care, that even in this world of gentle herbs and warm brews, there is always a need for wisdom, for quiet, careful thought. But for now, there is only warmth, only the soft, fragrant air of the brewing chamber, the gentle, steady drip of the water clock, the quiet, happy laughter of the nuns. And as you stand there sipping the warm, golden brew, feeling its soft, soothing warmth fill you, you can't help but smile. This is a world of quiet joy, of gentle wisdom, of warm, fragrant peace. A world where time flows, not with the harsh, relentless march of seconds and minutes, but with the soft, steady whisper of water, drop by drop, moment by moment. The soft, golden light of dawn spills through the tall, arched windows of the convent, casting warm, honeyed hues across the stone floors. The scent of fresh herbs and warm bread mingles in the cool, quiet air. But this morning something feels different. There is a quiet, almost solemn anticipation in the air, a sense of quiet reverence, of silent preparation. You follow the gentle hum of whispered prayers, the soft rustle of robes, and find yourself once again at the base of the grand, ziggurat-like tower that rises above the convent. But today the nuns are not brewing, not bustling about with cauldrons and herbs. Today they are climbing, ascending the spiraling ancient staircase that winds its way to the top. Sister Agnes is among them, her calm, steady presence leading the way. Today, we measure time with the heavens. She murmurs, her voice a soft, steady whisper. Today, we are not just brewers. We are keepers of the stars. Keepers of the stars. The words send a quiet shiver through you, a sense of awe, rising with each step you take. As you climb, the air grows cooler, the light softer. You can feel the quiet, sacred weight of the place settling around you. At the top, the view is breathtaking, a wide open terrace, the sky stretching out like a vast, endless ocean of soft, glowing blue. The city below is a tiny, distant world, its winding streets and bustling markets softened to quiet shadows. But the nuns are not here to admire the view. They are gathered around a strange ancient device, a tall, elegant instrument of bronze and glass its polished surface, catching the light. It is an astrolabe, a tool of the heavens, an ancient, delicate machine that can read the stars, that can measure the dance of the sun and moon. Sister Agnes steps forward, her hands moving with quiet, practiced grace as she adjusts the delicate circular dial. Tiny, intricate symbols glow in the soft light constellations, planets, the quiet, whispered map of the sky. This is how we keep our calendar. She explains, her voice calm and steady. The sun, the moon, the stars, they guide us. They tell us the seasons, the festivals, the sacred days. But the nuns are not simply following an ancient tradition. As you watch, you see Sister Claire step forward, carefully noting the angle of the sun, her eyes narrowing in quiet concentration. Just a little further. There. She smiles, her voice soft, with quiet pride. The spring equinox. The spring equinox. A moment of perfect balance when the day and night are equal, when the light and darkness share the sky. You feel a quiet thrill of wonder, a sense of connection to a world beyond the walls of the convent, beyond the quiet fields and winding paths. This is not just a measurement, it is a whisper of the universe, a quiet, gentle touch of something vast and ancient. But as you watch, you begin to notice something else, a quiet debate, a gentle murmur of disagreement. Sister Margaret, the oldest of the nuns, stands with her arms crossed, her gaze fixed on the astrolabe. The stars have shifted, she murmurs. This is not the same sky we saw when I was young. Sister Claire frowns, her voice quiet but firm. The stars are always moving, but the equinox is measured by the sun, not the stars. Unless the sun itself has changed. Sister Margaret whispers, her voice almost lost in the cool breeze. Historians still argue whether the heavens are fixed or if they dance with a secret rhythm of their own. You feel a quiet, gentle thrill, a sense of mystery, of ancient questions, hidden beneath the quiet, careful rituals of the convent. Even here, among the whispered prayers and quiet brews, there are secrets, questions that have no clear answer, mysteries that refuse to be tamed. But the debate is gentle, almost playful, a quiet dance of words and wisdom. Sister Agnes smiles, her voice a calming presence. The stars may change, but our hearts must remain steady. That is our true measure. Her words are a quiet, soothing balm, a gentle reminder that even in this world of ancient wisdom and delicate calculations, there is always a need for calm, for kindness, for quiet, steady faith. But there is something else, a quiet, whispered secret hidden in the gentle dance of stars and shadows. Sister Claire steps closer, her voice a soft, playful whisper. Did you know? Some say the stars can tell the future. You raise an eyebrow, curiosity sparkling in your eyes. Oh yes, she continues, her smile widening. The ancients believed that the heavens were a great book, a map of all that was and all that would be. The movement of the stars, the dance of the planets, they were whispers of destiny, of fate. Sister Agnes laughs softly. Perhaps. Or perhaps they are simply lights in the darkness, a gentle reminder that even the night has its beauty. But you can't help but feel a quiet, gentle wonder, a sense of something vast and mysterious whispering around you. You watch as the nuns carefully mark the position of the sun, the angle of the light, the quiet, silent dance of the heavens. And then, as the morning light softens to a warm golden glow, Sister Agnes steps forward, raising her hands in a quiet, gentle gesture of blessing. May the light guide us. May the darkness teach us. May the stars watch over us. Her words are a quiet, soothing prayer, a gentle whisper that seems to flow through you like a soft, warm breeze. And you feel that ancient, quiet peace settle around you, a sense of calm, of connection, of quiet wonder. The nuns begin to descend the winding staircase, their soft laughter and whispered prayers drifting around you like a gentle, comforting mist. But you stay for a moment, standing beneath the wide open sky, watching the sun rise, feeling its warm, golden light touch your face. This is a world where time is not just a quiet, steady drip of water, not just a careful, measured line of shadows. It is a dance, a quiet, whispered dance of light and darkness, of stars and shadows, of ancient questions and gentle faith. And as you turn to follow the nuns, you feel a quiet, gentle joy, a sense of calm, of peace, of something vast and beautiful. A world where even the stars have their secrets, and where even the smallest, quietest moment is a tiny, whispered miracle. Night falls softly over the convent, wrapping the stone walls and quiet gardens in a deep, velvety darkness. You find yourself wandering the shadowed cloister's footsteps, muffled against the ancient flagstones, the only sound a distant owl's call, and the gentle rustle of leaves in the cool breeze. The city beyond the convent walls seems to settle into a hushed lull, but inside there's a different rhythm, a pulse that beats quietly in the heart of medieval life. You move toward the kitchen where a warm glow spills from beneath the heavy wooden door. The air inside is thick with the rich scent of malt and hops, the comforting aroma of simmering herbs and yeasty bread. Here the nuns work late into the night, their hands steady and sure as they tend to the brewing kettles and wooden barrels. This is no ordinary brewery. This is where some of the best beer recipes in all of medieval Europe are born. You watch Sister Beatrice carefully measuring out crushed grains, her face illuminated by flickering candlelight. You know, she says with a quiet smile, the beer we make isn't just for drinking. It's medicine, nourishment, and sometimes a little bit of joy. You nod, captivated. In a time when clean water was scarce and sickness lurked in every corner, beer was more than a drink, it was a lifeline. The brewing process, perfected in convents like this one, was a safeguard against disease, a source of calories and a rare moment of pleasure in harsh times. You notice an odd detail, a tiny pinch of herbs tucked into the brew. Sister Beatrice catches your curious glance. Ah, that's a secret, she says with a wink. Each convent has its own blend of herbs passed down through generations. Some swear by yarrow, others by bog myrtle or juniper. Historians still argue whether these herbs were added for flavor preservation or a bit of spiritual magic. The idea of beer as both science and mystery intrigues you. You watch as Sister Beatrice stirs the bubbling liquid, her hands moving with practiced ease. The nuns kept these recipes alive when no one else would. They were the true masters of medieval brewing long before the monks got all the credit. You imagine the centuries of careful experimentation, the quiet nights spent perfecting fermentation, the whispered secrets shared over steaming pots. The convent's brewery is a hidden world of alchemy and art, where water, grain, and fire transform into something miraculous. Yet the story is not without its complications. You overhear a hushed conversation between two sisters nearby, debating whether the beer should be stronger or lighter this season. Stronger for the winter months, one insists to warm the bones and soothe the spirit. The other counters, but lighter for the pilgrims who come seeking healing. Their debate is gentle but earnest, reflecting the delicate balance between tradition and practical needs. As you linger, you realize this brewery is more than just a place of work. It's a community hub, a sanctuary, a place where faith and daily life blend seamlessly. The Nuns beer nourishes not only bodies, but also spirits, offering comfort and connection in a world often harsh and unforgiving. Outside, the moon casts a silver glow over the convent gardens, and you feel the steady, comforting rhythm of life here, slow, deliberate, and full of quiet purpose. The nuns brew their beer as they live their lives with care, with devotion, and with a touch of magic. And as you step back into the night, the faint clink of wooden barrels and soft laughter echo behind you, a reminder that even in the most unlikely places, history brews something timeless. The soft glow of morning filters through the stained glass windows, casting fractured rainbows across the cold stone floors. Today is no ordinary day. The convent is alive with an energy unlike any other, a day dedicated to celebration, to honoring the passage of time itself. You find yourself swept into the bustling preparations for the festival calendar, a vibrant tapestry woven from the threads of faith, nature, and ancient tradition. You follow the nuns as they move with practiced grace through the gardens, their hands gathering wildflowers, herbs, and ripe fruit. The air is thick with the scent of lavender and rosemary, mingling with the earthy aroma of freshly tilled soil. This festival is more than just a party. It is a living calendar, a sacred rhythm, marking the cycles of the seasons and the cosmos. Sister Helena, the convent's unofficial festival planner, explains as she arranges fragrant wreaths. These festivals connect us to each other, to the earth, to the heavens. They remind us that time is not just hours and minutes, but life itself. You watch as the nuns carefully place candles in carved stone holders, their flames flickering in anticipation. Music begins to fill the air, a soft melody played on a lute, accompanied by the gentle beat of a tambourine. The festival unfolds slowly, a delicate dance of light and shadow, sound and silence. At the heart of the celebration is the brewing of a special beer, crafted only once a year. Its recipe, a secret blend of seasonal herbs and spices. You catch a glimpse of the bubbling cauldron, the rich amber liquid swirling with hints of cinnamon and clove. This brew is the soul of the festival, a taste of time itself, distilled into a cup. But there's more to these festivals than meets the eye. You overhear whispers among the sisters about the deeper meaning behind the rituals. The calendar ties us to the cosmic dance, Sister Agnes says softly. We celebrate the solstices, the equinoxes, the phases of the moon. Historians still debate how much of this was inherited from pagan traditions and how much was shaped by the Church. The tension between old beliefs and new faith is a quiet undercurrent, a reminder that history is never simple. Yet here in the convent, these cycles are honored with respect and reverence, blending the sacred and the secular into a harmonious whole. As night falls, you join the circle of nuns around a crackling fire. The stars twinkle above, mirroring the flickering flames below. Stories are shared tales of harvests, past prayers for the coming season, songs that echo through the ages. You sip the festival beer, its warm, spicy notes spreading comfort through your body. The world feels vast and ancient, yet intimately close. Time here is a living thing, a river you are allowed to dip your fingers into, feeling its cool flow and endless mystery. As the night deepens, the music slows, voices soften, and the festival gently fades into a peaceful quiet. You lie back on the soft grass, the cool earth beneath you, grounding and steadying. Above, the moon traces a slow arc across the sky, a silent witness to the endless cycles of life and time. In this moment, you understand that these medieval nuns, with their sacred brews and timeless festivals, were not just surviving. They were celebrating the very heartbeat of existence, marking time with joy, faith, and a touch of magic. The bustling markets, just beyond the convent walls, hum with life and stories. You wander among merchants haggling over spices, fabrics, and curiosities from distant lands. The air is thick with the chatter of traders and the clang of blacksmiths' hammers, a symphony of medieval commerce. Here in the crossroads of culture and trade, you overhear lively discussions about the famed beer recipes from the convent and how their influence is quietly spreading far beyond Babylon's walls. You lean in to listen as a traveling scholar shares tales of monks and nuns who have perfected brewing methods that no city brewer can match. The secret, he says, lies not just in ingredients, but in the patient, careful rituals that the religious orders guard fiercely. Their brews are renowned for purity, flavor, and medicinal qualities, making them prized far and wide. You trace the path of this influence, imagining how these recipes and techniques might have traveled, carried by pilgrims, merchants, and even crusaders moving across Europe. The monks and nuns became unexpected ambassadors of brewing science, their knowledge weaving into the fabric of local traditions from France to England and beyond. Yet you also catch whispers of tension. Some local brewers resent these sacred recipes, viewing them as secretive and inaccessible, sparking rivalries and jealousies. It's not just beer, one merchant grumbles, it's power and control over who gets to drink well. This debate isn't new. Historians still argue whether the spread of these brewing methods was driven more by religious devotion or economic ambition. Were the nuns sharing their knowledge freely or protecting a lucrative monopoly cloaked in faith? The answer is murky, layered with the complexities of medieval society. What's clear is that the convent's beer recipes helped set a standard that shaped European brewing for centuries. They bridged gaps between sacred and secular, local and foreign science and superstition. As you watch a group of travelers raise their cups in a toast, you feel connected to a vast web of history, one where a humble nun's brew carries echoes of faith, rivalry, and cultural exchange. The story of medieval beer isn't just about taste. It's a story of connection, influence, and the surprising power of a recipe handed down through quiet hands. The quiet halls of the convent often hide more than just whispered prayers. Tonight, you find yourself eavesdropping on a secretive conversation between two nuns in a dimly lit chamber, their voices low but charged with tension. They are debating a question that seems simple on the surface, but twists into something far more profound. Did time itself begin with the gods, or with men measuring it? Sister Miriam argues passionately that time is divine, a sacred gift bestowed by the heavens. Without God's breath, the sun would not rise, and the hours would have no meaning, she says, her eyes shining in the candlelight. Our brewing, our prayers, they mark His time, not ours. Her counterpart, Sister Lucille, counters gently, but firmly, suggesting that humans created time to bring order to chaos. We needed to count the hours, to tend our fields, to prepare our brews to live. Time is a tool, not a divine mystery. Their debate spirals into philosophical depths, touching on theology, astronomy, and the nature of existence. You listen as they reference ancient texts and the movements of the stars, weaving together faith and observation. Historians still argue whether early medieval timekeeping was more a reflection of religious belief or practical necessity. And here, you witness that debate alive and breathing. The nuns' dialogue reveals how deeply intertwined their spiritual lives were with the rhythms of the world around them. Time was not just a measure, it was a mystery to be pondered, a divine dance to join. The brewing schedules, prayer times, and festival calendars were all expressions of this profound relationship. Yet there's a human element too, an acknowledgement that controlling time meant controlling life's flow, its work, and its worship. As the conversation winds down, Sister Miriam and Sister Lucille smile, recognizing that their disagreement is part of a larger journey to understand their place in the universe. You realize that medieval nuns were not just caretakers of beer recipes, but guardians of deeper truths, wrestling with questions that resonate even now. Their debates echo through history, inviting you to ponder alongside them. As you leave the chamber, the faint scent of herbs and old parchment lingers, a reminder that every brewed cup holds stories far beyond flavor, stories of faith, reason, and the timeless quest to make sense of time itself. The clamor of the marketplace fades behind you as you step into the quiet corridors of the convent where trust and piety are supposed to reign. Yet even here, shadows of suspicion creep quietly in. You find yourself drawn into a heated argument between a gruff merchant and one of the priests, a tale of stolen time and miscalculated shadows. The merchant's voice is sharp, accusing the priest of manipulating the sundial's shadow, shortening the hours assigned for his trading. "You've robbed me of my day," he claims, eyes flashing with anger. "By shifting that shadow, you stole my chance to earn." The priest, calm but defensive, insists it was an honest mistake, an error in reading the delicate lines etched centuries ago. But the merchant isn't convinced. This dispute, you realize, is more than a quarrel over minutes. It's a window into the fragile trust that underpinned medieval timekeeping. Time wasn't just abstract, it was currency. Merchants, laborers, and clergy alike depended on accurate measurements to conduct their daily lives and livelihoods. A sundial's shadow could mean the difference between profit and lost rest and toil. Interestingly, historians still debate how often such disputes happened and whether they influenced the development of more reliable timekeeping devices. Some suggest these conflicts pushed innovation, leading from sundials to water clocks and eventually mechanical clocks. You watch as the priest and merchant finally reach a tentative truce, agreeing to consult the convent's chief astronomer for a more precise measurement. It's a reminder that even in the sacred halls, timekeeping was an ongoing negotiation between human error and divine order. As you step back into the daylight, the story lingers, a testament to how deeply medieval society depended on the shadows and symbols of time, and how even small shifts in a sundial's shadow could ripple through lives. You can't help but smile, thinking if only they had smartphones to settle these disputes quickly. You slip quietly into a shadowed corner of the temple, where the steady, rhythmic drip of water echoes softly against stone walls. Here, a young acolyte hunches over the water clock, his face tense with concentration and a hint of mischief. You watch as he fiddles with the flow, trying to speed up the trickle just enough to make time seem to move faster. It's a small act of rebellion, but one that reveals a surprising truth: time could be stolen. In the medieval world where hours were precious, manipulating a water clock's flow was like skimming seconds off someone else's day, a quiet form of theft. You see the acolyte's fingers tremble slightly as he adjusts the device, aware that if caught, the consequences would be severe. Yet the temptation is strong. After all, who wouldn't want a few extra moments to rest or prepare? This act hints at the fragility of early timekeeping technologies. Water clocks or clepsydras were marvels of ingenuity, but far from perfect. Their accuracy depended on consistent water pressure and maintenance, and small changes could throw off the entire system. You overhear a whispered legend among the nuns about a water clock sabotage scandal that once shook the convent. A rival monastery had allegedly bribed an acolyte to disrupt the flow, causing confusion during an important feast day. Historians still argue whether this tale is fact or folklore, but it underscores the stakes involved in controlling time. Watching the acolyte, you realize that timekeeping was as much about trust and integrity as about mechanics. The ticking seconds carried weight beyond measurement. They were tied to honor duty and the smooth running of monastic life. As you leave the temple, the soft drip continues, a gentle reminder that time flows on, sometimes steady, sometimes stolen, but always precious. The sun dips low over the horizon, casting long shadows across the crumbling stones of the ancient ziggurat ruins. You stand there feeling the weight of centuries pressing down and think about the twilight of the Babylonian timekeepers, the custodians of shadows and dripping water who once ruled time itself. The ziggurat, once a bustling center of worship and observation, is now silent and swallowed by the shifting desert sands. Its once precise sundials have cracked and faded, their shadows no longer telling the hours, The water clocks lie broken, their steady drips silenced by neglect. Yet in this decay, you sense a story of transition, the slow passing of old ways and the rise of new. You imagine the priests and astronomers who once climbed the ziggurat steps, eyes fixed on the stars and the sun, measuring time to guide their rituals and governance. Their knowledge was sacred yet fragile, vulnerable to the relentless march of change and conquest. Historians still debate how and when Babylon's ancient timekeeping practices faded. Was it the conquests of Alexander the Great, the shifting centers of power, or the advent of new technologies that rendered old methods obsolete? The truth is likely a complex blend of all these forces. As the desert wind stirs the dust around you, you reflect on the resilience of time itself. Though the Babylonian timekeepers have vanished, their legacy persists in the very way we understand and divide our days. The shadows they once measured now stretch into the future, their silent whispers, carried in the tick of every clock you've ever owned. You turn away from the ruins, the desert night settling softly, feeling connected to an ancient rhythm that still pulses beneath the surface of the modern world. You find yourself in a quiet, modern room, surrounded by the soft ticking of clocks, digital analog, and everything in between. Each second that passes feels both ordinary and extraordinary, a subtle reminder that the way we mark time today is deeply rooted in the ancient methods you've been exploring. The echoes of Babylonian shadows and the gentle drip of water clocks resonate quietly beneath every tick. It's fascinating to realize that the division of the hour into 60 minutes and each minute into 60 seconds still governs our lives. This legacy born from the base 60 system of the Babylonians permeates everything from how you schedule your day to how scientists measure the universe. You think about the priests and astronomers who once ascended ziggurats to track the sun's shadow, and the careful monks who brewed their beer according to the rhythms of prayer and timekeeping. Their work wasn't just about survival. It was about understanding existence, making order out of chaos, and connecting humanity to the cosmos. Historians still argue about the finer points of how these ancient systems evolved and intertwined with other cultures, but the broad strokes are clear. Babylon's innovations laid foundational stones for the concept of time itself. As you watch the second hand sweep around the clock face, you feel a profound sense of continuity. Time in all its forms is a bridge across millennia, a shared language spoken by the Babylonians, medieval nuns, and you right now. So as you prepare to close your eyes and let sleep gently take you, remember that the rhythm of time flows through us, all ancient and modern alike.